Morning, Internet. It's a Friday morning here in Kuala Lumpur, and it's also the first day of Ramadan. So that means that a lot of the shops that are normally open during the day are going to be closed because the fasting hours go from sunrise to sunset. Now, normally this doesn't affect me, but I woke up this morning realizing that I had not made plans to get food for the day. So I'm hoping that the place I normally buy food is actually open and selling stuff. But we'll find out in a few minutes. Morning. Like I said, this is the first day of Ramadan, and that lasts for a month, which I think on the Islamic calendar is like 28 days or something. It's based on a lunar cycle. And at the end of that month, the biggest holiday in Malaysia takes place, known as Hari Raya. But this year, I think it's going to be quite a subdued event because of the movement control order, which has just been extended until May 12th. So it's going to be a quiet Ramadan. Many of the Ramadan bazaars that occur in the evening, not many, all of the Ramadan bazaars that occur in the evening have been canceled. And in the press yesterday, it said that people are not allowed to travel back to their hometowns for the holiday. And if you watched any of my videos in the past, you know that traveling for Hari Raya is one of the biggest migration of people probably in this part of Southeast Asia, just as big as Chinese New Year. So it's going to be a different year for Hari Raya. Apparently this is my lucky day. The favorite restaurant that I go to every morning is open. I'm quite surprised that that has happened, because normally little shops like this are closed during Ramadan, at least during the fasting hours, which are all the daylight hours. So I'm very happy to see that it's open for breakfast, for at least for my breakfast. I would probably have to go to some place like McDonald's or Subway or something like that if this little shop was not open. So my main worry for the morning has now been solved. This is what roti telur looks like before it's actually cooked. There's some kind of dough, there's an egg that goes on it, and then after that it's fried. And then when I get back to the apartment, I dip it into a curry based on fish stock, and the rest of my morning goes great. Well, something interesting happened while I was making last week's video, and that is the audio recorder was set incorrectly. So I had to figure out why the audio file that it produced was giving me a lot of clipping. Clipping is when there's too much sound and it sort of gets distorted when it hits the peak. So the file itself becomes unusable when that happens because it sounds like junk. So last week, during last week's video, we ended up using the audio directly from the camera, which I think last week was the Sony Action Cam. Now the audio you get from the Sony Action Cam is actually quite good, but the audio you get from the separate recorder is much better. So I had to learn why I was doing or getting clipping and what I was going to do about it. So that means or meant that I had to learn a lot about recording audio, limiting peaks, compressing audio, normalizing audio, and other kinds of things that you don't normally think about an average person having to know just to make a video. But when I started recording audio separately, learning about audio files themselves became something that I had to at least understand. It's like video making. I'm not an expert at any of this. I understand a lot of it, but it doesn't mean that I'm good at doing it. So this week we'll see how the audio actually turns out. I think I fixed the limiting problem, and we'll see once we get this published whether or not we use the audio from the recorder or from the camera itself. Well, the good news is that we've cracked the audio problem. The audio you heard in the first part of the video came directly from the audio recorder. So the things that I thought were wrong with the audio turned out to be right. So I'm very proud of myself figuring out something that until a few weeks ago I didn't even know these problems existed, or anything about audio files or anything like that. So that's solved. This recorder that I'm using is here. And you probably hear some sound that it's making when I pick it up, because this is what's actually recording the sound on this part of the video. And I don't use a microphone with it because, it's right here, so it doesn't really need the microphone. It has a built-in microphone, that's why it doesn't need it. On the other part of the video where I was out walking around outside, this is the microphone. You probably saw this little black piece of plastic. It was clipped to my shirt. This is a microphone. It's a wireless mic, and in the bag I was carrying, it's got a receiver, and the receiver was plugged into the audio recorder that I just showed you. So that's fixed. I'm happy to report that that's fixed. So what else is going on this week? Well, Kuala Lumpur is still quiet. It's going to be quiet for another 2 weeks at least. The movement control order was extended until 12th of May, which takes us into about the middle of Ramadan. As I mentioned earlier, this is the beginning of Ramadan, the fasting month on the Islamic calendar. Muslims fast between sunrise and sunset. Usually, a big part of Ramadan, at least every year since I've been here, are what's called Ramadan bazaars. And you can see a video about a Ramadan bazaar up here on that link up there. One that I made last year where I attended a Ramadan bazaar in a little town nearby. But these are huge affairs. People go to these on their way home from work. They pick up snacks and things like that they can use to break fast. I like to go to them because I get all kinds of snack foods. They call it kueh here. A lot of them are sweets, things like that. But they're just great places to pick up food that you can then bring home, and the Muslims in Malaysia use part of that to break their fast before they actually have their full meal. There's also another video I made where I and my friend Lady Aisha, you can watch that video on this link. We had our breaking fast at a restaurant downtown KL. It was a Thai restaurant. Some of you may have already seen that video. The MCO is extended, like I said, until the 12th of May. The number of, fever cases or virus cases, I guess they're called, in Malaysia is dropping daily. I think they're in double digits now, so it's dropping quite a lot, and they seem to have gotten it under control, at least as far as infection rates are going. So I'm not sure whether or not the MCO will be extended after the 12th of May or not, but it might be. Like, I'm sure that anybody that's in a country that has a a movement order or a lockdown order is used to the fact that they may be extended for whatever reason when the current one expires. My next attempt to leave the country and fly back to the United States will occur on May 2nd. I think that one is looking a little bit better than my previous 3, but we'll know then. Anyway, that's it from Kuala Lumpur. Thanks for watching.